The night is not empty. It watches. Every shadow you pass, every whispered thought you ignore, carries a weight you cannot understand. The streets remember your steps, and the walls remember your fear. Something moves just beyond your vision, waiting for hesitation, feeding on doubt, sharpening its hunger. Tonight, the air itself is alive with whispers, promises of pain, choices you will regret, and eyes that will never blink. If you listen closely, you will hear them, the lost, the damned, the unseen, calling your name. The night air felt unnaturally still, as if the world itself were holding its breath beneath an unseen curse. You stood inside the rattling frame of the trolley car, its iron body screaming as it tore through the tracks at 60 miles per hour, far too fast, far too unstoppable. Something was wrong. You pulled the brake lever again. Nothing. A hollow metallic groan answered you, like the whisper of a dying thing. Your pulse began to pound in your ears. The wind howled through the broken window, carrying with it a faint, unnatural murmur, almost like distant voices reciting something ancient, something forbidden. A phrase lingered in your mind. Qadar cannot be escaped. Then you saw them, 5 figures ahead, workers, their backs turned, unaware. 5 souls standing directly in the path of your unstoppable descent. Your throat tightened. You tried to scream, but the sound died before it left your lips. The trolley shrieked louder, as if possessed, like a vessel overtaken by a djinn bound to destruction. You knew with terrifying certainty, if nothing changed, if you did nothing, they would all die, and their blood would be on your hands. But then, something shifted. To your right, barely visible through the darkness, a second track curved away like a serpent, slithering into the void. And at the end of that path, one figure, just one, standing alone, still, silent, waiting. Your hands trembled as they hovered over the steering lever. The metal felt cold, too cold, like it had been touched by something not of this world. A whisper slithered into your ear. 1 soul for 5, a fair exchange, or so you tell yourself. Your heart raced. Was this choice truly yours, or had it already been written, long before this moment, in some cursed script of fate? The trolley roared forward. The distance was closing, fast, too fast, and you realized you had only seconds to decide who would die. Your fingers closed around the lever. Cold, unnaturally cold, like touching a grave that had never known sunlight. The trolley thundered forward, screaming against the rails as if something beneath it clawed to be free. The 5 figures ahead remained unaware, their shadows stretching unnaturally long across the tracks, twisting, writhing, as though alive. Turn it. The whisper returned, closer this time, inside your head. Save them, or damn them all. Your breath came in short, broken gasps. Logic fought against instinct. 5 lives, or 1. The equation felt simple, too simple, and yet something deep inside you recoiled, as if an unseen force warned you. This is not a choice. This is a test. You glanced again to the right. The single figure on the side track stood unnaturally still. No movement, no reaction, not even fear, just waiting, watching. A sudden chill crawled down your spine. Why wasn't he moving? Why didn't he run? It was as if he already knew, or worse, as if he had been placed there. Your grip tightened on the lever. If you did nothing, 5 would die. If you turned, 1 would die. But the moment you chose, the moment you acted, wouldn't that make you something else entirely? Not a victim of fate, but its executioner. The trolley roared louder, the sound now almost like laughter, low, guttural, inhuman. The Hadid frame trembled violently, and for a split second you thought you saw something reflected in the glass. Not your face, but something behind you, watching, smiling. "Choose," the whisper hissed again, this time layered with many voices, like a chorus of unseen jinn pressing against the veil of reality. 5 or 1. Your heart slammed against your ribs. You had seconds, no more. The track split just ahead. The lever waited, and in that cursed moment, you realized there was no innocent path, only different forms of guilt. The moment shattered. Your hand moved, not by instinct, not by reason, but as if guided by something older, something buried beneath the skin of the world itself. The lever snapped to the right. A violent screech tore through the night as the trolley lurched onto the side track. The force slammed you against the Hadid frame, knocking the breath from your lungs. And then, impact. A sound unlike anything human. A sickening crack, followed by silence. Heavy, absolute. The world seemed to pause. The 5 figures on the main track were gone now, safe, untouched, their distant silhouettes frozen in confusion. But behind you, you didn't need to turn to know. One life had been taken, by your choice, by your hand. A slow, trembling breath escaped your lips. Relief tried to surface, but it died instantly, suffocated by something far darker. The air had changed. It felt thicker, heavier, like the atmosphere inside a sealed cupboard. The trolley rolled to a halt with a final metallic groan. The whispering wind returned, but it was no longer distant. It circled you, coiling around your thoughts like unseen chains. You chose. The voice was no longer a whisper. It was everywhere, inside, outside, above, below. You judged. Your body stiffened. A deep, primal dread crawled through your veins as you slowly turned your head toward the track behind you. And what you saw was wrong. The body wasn't there. No blood, no broken form, nothing. Only empty tracks stretching into darkness. Your heart skipped. No. You stumbled back, your mind refusing to accept it. You felt the impact. You heard it. So where was he? A faint sound echoed behind you. Footsteps. Slow, measured, deliberate. You turned sharply, and there, standing in the dim flicker of unseen light, was the man, unharmed, unbroken, watching you. His eyes were not human, dark, endless, like a void that swallowed light itself. And then He smiled, a cold, knowing smile that didn't belong to the living. You believed it was about numbers. His voice was calm, almost gentle. This was never about saving them. The air trembled as the unseen presence grew stronger, wrapping around you like the grip of a jinn awakened from centuries of silence. It was about revealing you. Your breath caught in your throat. Every instinct screamed to run, but your body refused to move. You did not kill one to save five. The figure stepped closer. You chose who deserved to die. Your knees weakened, and in that horrifying realization, you understood. The tracks, the choice, the lives, none of it was real. Only the judgment was. The ground beneath you dissolved into darkness. Not gradually, not gently, but as if reality itself had been torn apart, like fragile parchment ripped open by unseen hands. The tracks vanished, the trolley disappeared, even the air you breathed turned thick and suffocating. You were no longer standing in the world you knew. You were somewhere else, somewhere ancient, somewhere forbidden. A vast emptiness stretched around you, swallowed in shadow. Then, one by one, dim flames ignited in the distance, cold, pale fires that gave no warmth. They revealed towering shapes, not quite human, not entirely formed, figures, watching, waiting, a mudglis of something beyond comprehension. Your chest tightened as a realization clawed its way into your mind. This was not an accident. This was a trial. You have entered the court. The voice echoed, not from a single direction, but from everywhere at once. It vibrated through your bones, ancient and merciless. You have entered the court of those who judge the hearts of men. The man, the one you thought you had killed, stood before you now, unchanged, untouched, but he was no longer just a man. His presence warped the air, his shadow stretching far beyond his body, splitting into unnatural forms, a jinn or something worse. You believed yourself rational, he said softly. You believed your choice was justified. His eyes locked onto yours. So tell us. The flames flickered violently, and the shadowed figures leaned forward, silent but hungry. Was it mercy, or was it power? Your throat went dry. Words refused to come. Every thought you had, every justification, every moral argument now felt hollow, meaningless in the face of this unseen tribunal. You spoke of numbers, the voice continued. 5 lives or 1. A low, echoing murmur spread through the darkness, like thousands of whispers overlapping, chanting in a language you did not understand. But we do not measure lives in numbers. The man stepped closer. So answer. His voice dropped, colder now. When you moved that lever, a sudden gust of wind tore through the void, carrying with it the distant echoes of screams. 5 voices, then 1, then many more. Did you save them? Your heart pounded violently. Or did you simply choose who would die? The silence that followed was unbearable, because deep inside, you already knew the truth. Silence consumed everything. Not peace, not relief, but a suffocating, eternal silence, like being buried alive within a sealed tomb, where even your thoughts felt too loud, too guilty. You tried to speak, to defend yourself, to explain, but no words came, because there was nothing left to justify. The truth had already settled deep inside your chest like a stone. You had chosen, not fate, not destiny, you. A low, resonating hum spread through the void. The medley of shadowed figures began to shift, their forms twisting unnaturally, as if they were not bound by flesh or by time. Then it is decided. The voice was no longer questioning. It was judgment, final, absolute. The man before you, the watcher, the deceiver, tilted his head slightly. His dark eyes seemed almost satisfied. He said, "You have seen what lies beneath your reason." His shadow stretched outward, merging with the others, becoming something vast, something endless. And now, the flames extinguished one by one, and now you will carry it. Darkness swallowed everything. Then you were back. The trolley, the tracks, the cold night air, everything exactly as it was before, except it wasn't. Your hands still gripped the lever, but now they trembled uncontrollably. The 5 workers stood ahead, alive, unharmed, and to the right, the single figure still waited, unmoving, watching. Your breath caught. No, this already happened. But the tracks stretched forward again. The moment reset. The choice returned. Endless, unforgiving. A curse. From somewhere deep in the shadows, the whisper returned. No longer distant, no longer faint. It was inside you now. You will choose again. Your heart pounded in terror as the trolley surged forward once more. Again. The lever felt heavier this time. Again. Your mind screamed for escape, but there was none. No end, no absolution, only repetition, only judgment, only the unbearable weight of deciding who lives and who dies forever. Before plunging into the depths of fear, I need to know, are you listening alone? Feeling chills yet? Let us know in the comments. New here? Hit that subscribe or follow button now. The wind howled like a mourning spirit beneath the iron bridge, carrying with it a distant metallic scream, the nafs of something racing toward death. You stood there, frozen, an observer, or so you thought. Below you, the tracks stretched into darkness, and from that darkness, a trolley car emerged, unstoppable, trembling with violent force. Its wheels shrieked against the rails, echoing like tortured souls trapped within steel. Something was wrong, deeply wrong. At the end of the track, 5 figures, workers, unaware, unmoving, condemned. Your heart began to pound as realization struck you like a blade. The trolley would not stop. It could not stop. And in seconds, they would all be crushed. A wave of helplessness flooded your chest, suffocating, absolute. You weren't the driver this time. You had no control, no responsibility. just a witness to an inevitable horror. Or so it seemed. A sudden shift in the air made your skin crawl. You weren't alone. You turned, and there, standing beside you on the narrow bridge, was a man, massive, unnaturally still, leaning slightly over the railing as he stared down at the approaching death below. He hadn't reacted, not to the sound, not to the danger, not even to your presence. Something about him felt wrong. His breathing was slow, too slow. His posture rigid, almost unnatural, like a body waiting for a command. A whisper slithered into your ear, cold, invasive, undeniable. You can stop this. Your pulse spiked. You looked back at the tracks. The trolley was closer now, faster. The 5 figures still hadn't moved. You can save them. The voice coiled tighter around your thoughts, like a djinn wrapping itself around your will. Your gaze drifted back to the man beside you, and in that instant, the truth revealed itself. If he fell, if his body struck the track below, the trolley would stop. 5 lives saved at the cost of 1. Your stomach twisted violently. No. You stepped back, shaking your head. This wasn't the same. This wasn't a lever. This was different. This was personal. The man shifted slightly, and for the first time, he turned his head. His eyes met yours. Dark, empty, knowing. As if he understood exactly what you were thinking. As if he had been waiting for this moment, waiting for you. The whisper returned, louder now. You can save them. Your hands trembled, your breath faltered, because deep inside, you knew you could do it. The bridge trembled beneath your feet. Or perhaps it was you. Your hands shook violently as they hovered near the man's back. The distance between you and him felt impossibly small, and yet it carried the weight of 1,000 souls. Below, the trolley screamed closer. The 5 figures remained trapped in their fate, still unaware, still standing where death waited patiently. You know what must be done, the whisper returned, thicker now, like smoke filling your lungs. It wrapped around your thoughts, tightening, suffocating. You can save them. Your chest rose and fell rapidly. 5 lives, 1 life, the same equation, the same cursed logic. But this time, there was no lever, no distance, no illusion of detachment. Only your hands and him. You looked at the man again. He hadn't moved away. He hadn't called for help. He hadn't even shown fear. He simply watched you. His eyes, dark, endless, reflected something unnatural. Not panic, not confusion, expectation. A chill crawled down your spine. Why aren't you running? You whispered, your voice barely audible. The man's lips curved ever so slightly. Not a smile, something worse. You were not meant to ask that. The voice did not come from his mouth. It echoed inside your skull. Your heart skipped. The wind howled louder, carrying with it faint, distant chants, ancient Arabic words you could not fully understand, yet somehow felt. Al-Hukum, al-dam, al-ikhtiyar. Judgment, blood, choice. Your fingers twitched. If you pushed him, it would be immediate, violent, irreversible. You would feel it. The moment his body left your hands, the moment gravity claimed him, the moment he struck the tracks below. This wouldn't be an accident. This would be you, choosing to kill. You hesitate. The whisper sharpened, almost mocking now. Why? Your mind raced. Because it's murder. Because he didn't choose this. Because I would be the one doing it. But another voice rose within you, colder, quieter, more dangerous. Because you can. The trolley roared closer, closer, closer. Time was collapsing. The 5 figures were seconds away from death. Your fingers curled, muscles tightened. The man leaned slightly forward, just enough, as if inviting it, as if offering himself, or tempting you. The whisper dropped into a final chilling command. Push and become what you truly are. Your heart pounded like a war drum, and in that unbearable moment, you realized this wasn't about saving 5. It was about discovering whether you could kill 1. Time fractured. Your hands moved, not fully by choice, not entirely against it, but with a force that felt older than your own will. They pressed against his back. For a split second, nothing happened. Then he fell. The world slowed into something unnatural, as if reality itself wanted you to witness every detail of what you had done. His body tipped forward, heavy, inevitable. His arms didn't flail. He didn't scream. There was no resistance, only surrender. As he went over the edge, his eyes locked onto yours one last time, and in them, there was no fear, only recognition, as if he knew this moment had always belonged to you. The impact came a heartbeat later, a sickening, echoing crack that tore through the night. Then the trolley collided. A violent screech erupted as steel met flesh. The force shook the bridge beneath your feet. The deafening roar suddenly choked, slowed, and then stopped. Silence fell like a curse, heavy, oppressive, absolute. The 5 figures below were alive, saved. You had done it. Your chest heaved as you stumbled back, your hands trembling uncontrollably. A cold wave of realization washed over you. You pushed him. You killed him. The truth settled into your bones like ice. I saved them. The words felt hollow the moment they left your lips, because something wasn't right. The air had changed again. The wind no longer howled. It whispered, soft, persistent, watching. You forced yourself to look over the edge, to face what you had done. But when your eyes reached the tracks below, your breath stopped. There was no body, no blood, no broken remains, nothing. Only empty rails stretching into darkness. Your heart slammed violently against your ribs. That's impossible. A sound echoed behind you, a slow, deliberate footstep. You turned, and your blood ran cold. He was standing there, on the bridge, exactly where he had been before, unharmed, unchanged, watching you. His head tilted slightly, as if studying something deeply fascinating. You felt it, didn't you? His voice was calm, too calm. You decided. Your throat tightened. Your mind struggled to grasp what was happening. I pushed you, and yet I remain. His lips curved at that same unnatural expression. Not quite a smile, not quite human. You believed this was about saving them. The air around him darkened, his shadow stretching unnaturally across the bridge, twisting into shapes that did not belong to this world. But this, his eyes locked onto yours, pulling you into an abyss you could not escape, was about you. The whisper returned, no longer distant, no longer hidden. It was everywhere. You have crossed the threshold. Your body froze, because deep inside, you knew there was no going back. The bridge dissolved, not into darkness this time, but into something far worse. A vast, endless expanse opened beneath your feet, as if reality had peeled away to reveal what lay hidden behind it. The air turned heavy, thick with an ancient presence. Symbols, faint, glowing, and unfamiliar, flickered across the void like fragments of a forgotten Zaban. You were no longer standing on a bridge. You were standing inside a judgment. The man remained before you, unchanged, unharmed, but no longer confined to human form. His shadow stretched infinitely behind him, splitting into countless shapes, some tall, some crawling, some barely recognizable as anything that had ever lived. A chorus of whispers rose around you, layered, endless, like thousands of unseen jinn murmuring at once. You acted, the voice echoed, deep and resonant. You acted not because you had to. A pause. The symbols pulsed brighter, surrounding you like a circle of silent witnesses. But because you chose to. Your breath caught. You tried to speak, to explain, to justify, but the words died in your throat. Because you knew there had been a moment, a fraction of a second, where you could have stepped back, where you could have done nothing, but you didn't. You crossed the line willingly. The man stepped closer. Each step distorted the space around him, as if the world itself rejected his existence. In the first trial, his voice lowered, colder now. You hid behind distance, a lever, a mechanism. A flicker of light revealed something behind you, a vision, the trolley, the tracks, the choice you made before. But here, the vision shattered. You used your own hands. Your fingers twitched uncontrollably, as if remembering the exact pressure, the exact moment his body gave way beneath them. You felt the weight of him. A sudden wave of cold rushed through you. You felt the act. The whispers grew louder, judging, measuring. Tell us. The voices merged into one, a single overwhelming presence pressing against your mind. Was it still mercy? Your chest tightened. Or was it something else? The silence that followed was suffocating, because this time there was no escape into logic, no numbers, no equations, only intention and the terrifying truth beneath it. The silence lingered, but it was no longer empty. It watched you, it judged you, it knew you. Your hands trembled as you stared at them. They no longer felt like your own. The memory of that single push burned into your skin. The exact pressure, the exact moment his balance broke. You could still feel it, as if it had never ended. You cannot deny it. The voice emerged again, low and final. You chose to touch death. The void around you pulsed, and the glowing symbols tightened into a circle, enclosing you completely. There was no horizon, no sky, only the presence of something ancient, something older than judgment itself. The man stood before you, his form flickering between human and something far more terrible. His shadow moved independently now, writhing like a living entity bound to him. In the first trial, he raised his hand slowly. You convinced yourself it was necessity. A faint echo of the trolley, the lever, the distant 5 lives flickered through the void. But in this one, his gaze sharpened. You proved something else. Your breath caught, your heart pounded louder than ever before. You proved that you are capable. The words struck deeper than any blade, because they were true, not forced, not accidental. You could do it. You did do it. The whispers surged violently, overlapping into a deafening storm of voices. Il-ikhtiyar, al-dam, al-hakika. Choice, blood, truth. The symbols ignited with blinding intensity. Then it is marked. A searing pain erupted across your palms. You screamed and looked down. Dark symbols burned into your skin, twisted and pulsed like living ink. They glowed faintly, as if something beneath your flesh had awakened. A curse, a record, a truth that could never be erased. You will carry this. The man's voice softened, almost whispering now, into every choice that follows. The void began to collapse. The symbols faded. The whispers dissolved into distant echoes. And then you were back. The bridge, the cold wind, the iron rails below. Everything exactly as it was, except your hands. You lifted them slowly. The marks remained, faint but real, burned into your skin like a secret only you could see. A reminder, a warning. From somewhere far below, the distant sound of a trolley echoed once more, approaching, unstoppable. And in that moment, you understood. This was not over. It would never be over, because now every decision you made would carry the weight of that push. Before plunging into the depths of fear, I need to know, are you listening alone? Feeling chills yet? Let us know in the comments. New here? hit that subscribe or follow button now. The city never truly slept. Not at night, not in this part of town. The narrow alleyways smelled of damp stone and oud incense drifting from cracked windows high above. Shadows moved unnaturally here, folding into the walls as if they were alive. And tonight, you were alone. A whisper brushed your ear, a sibilant, urgent murmur in a tongue older than the streets themselves. La tahzan, la tahzan. Do not grieve, do not grieve. You froze. The sound came again, closer, impossibly close. And then you saw it. A figure crouched at the far end of the alley. Its form was humanoid, but something about it was wrong. The eyes glowed faintly amber, reflecting the flickering lanterns like molten gold. The mouth moved, but no words emerged, only a ripple of unease. Your instinct screamed to run, but something, some ancient pull, kept you rooted to the damp cobblestones. The figure rose, slowly. Its movements were fluid, yet grotesque, like a djinn shifting between dimensions. The shadows of the alley stretched, twisting to follow its ascent. A cold wind howled, carrying with it the scent of myrrh and decay. You realized too late that the whispers weren't meant for the wind. They were meant for you. You are chosen, it hissed, voice layered with dozens of echoes. You have walked where others dare not, and now a laugh erupted from the walls themselves, hollow, metallic, and impossibly deep. You will see what lurks behind the veil. The alley seemed to fold inward. The stones beneath your feet twisted. The shadows coalesced into shapes, faces, hands, mouths, each frozen in silent screams. And then the lanterns died. Darkness swallowed you whole, and in the black, the whisper came again. Ya Sahib al-Lail, come closer, O Master of the Night. When the darkness receded, it revealed something that should not exist. You were no longer in the alley, or at least not as you remembered it. The cobblestones were slick, blackened, and pulsing faintly underfoot, as if the stones themselves were breathing. Around you, a circle of glowing symbols hovered above the ground, carved in an ancient script older than the city, Arabic glyphs that flickered like fire caught in water. And within the circle, the figure waited. Its eyes were wider now, and its shape seemed to ripple with an unearthly energy. You felt it before you saw it, the presence of a djinn, its essence brushing against the edges of your mind, testing the limits of your fear. You've been marked, it intoned, voice layered with 1,000 voices, some whispering, some screaming. Marked by those who dwell between worlds. You can leave, but the mark will follow. The symbols above the circle began to rotate, faster and faster, as if the air itself was being drawn into some invisible vortex. Your heart raced. Each glyph burned into your vision, and for a moment you thought you saw faces within them, faces screaming silently, pleading for release. You seek knowledge, truth, power, the djinn continued, floating above the symbols. Its shadow stretched infinitely, crawling up the walls, down the cobblestones, and then beneath your feet. A sudden chill pierced your spine. The whispers intensified, chanting in a rhythm that made your teeth clatter. Al-Maktub, Al-Maktub, Al-Maktub. It is written, it is written, it is written. Your vision swam. For a brief second, you glimpsed the city beyond, streets bending impossibly, buildings warped as if they were made of smoke and shadows. In that vision, you could see yourself, younger, walking into this alley for the first time, and behind you, faintly, silhouettes of those who had disappeared in these streets before, forever trapped between worlds. The jinn's gaze pierced you. Do you understand what you have stepped into? Before you could answer, the symbols beneath your feet erupted in a pulse of light. Your ears rang with 100 cries at once, and then everything went silent. A single whisper remained, close, inside your mind. Ya Dhal Jawarih, the path begins. When you opened your eyes, the circle was gone, but the alley had changed. The walls stretched impossibly high, blackened stones crawling with twisted arabesque patterns that seemed to writhe when you blinked. Shadows pooled in every corner, forming shapes that weren't there moments before. Every surface reflected a flicker of something alive. Eyes that glimmered like molten gold, mouths agape in silent screams, hands reaching toward you as if pleading for rescue or warning. You stepped forward, but the ground beneath your feet shifted. Every stone felt like it wanted to pull you down into the abyss. And then you noticed them. Faces, thousands of them, pressed into the walls, the floor, even the air itself. Their features distorted by fear, pain, and terror. Some whispered in Arabic, ancient incantations that made your stomach twist. Lâchez, lâchez, nothing, nothing. Cold wind snaked around your neck. You turned. The jinn was there, hovering silently above the ground, cloaked in darkness, its eyes glowing brighter than ever. You see them, it said, its voice now layered with 1,000 tortured souls. The lost, the forgotten, the unchosen. They linger in the spaces between life and death, trapped by the choices of others. And now, you carry their weight. Your palms burned. The faint marks from the alley's previous encounter had flared, the glyphs twisting into new shapes. They pulsed in sync with your heartbeat, almost as if alive. You thought it ended with one decision. The jinn continued, its shadow stretching and splitting into countless forms, each echoing its voice. But the path is endless. Every choice, every act of survival will summon them, and they will watch, they will remember. Suddenly, a face emerged from the wall directly ahead, a young boy, amber eyes glowing faintly. His lips moved. Help me. You froze. It wasn't just a vision. It wasn't just fear. The jinn tilted its head, and the whisper came again, louder. Ya Sahib al-Kalb, the debt begins. Will you pay it, or will you join them? O Master of the Heart, the debt begins. The alley pulsed, breathing like a living entity, waiting for your answer. You realized, with a sudden chill that went beyond comprehension, there was no way back. Every step forward now meant entering deeper into its domain, and with each step, the weight of those faces, their terror, their pain, their unfulfilled destinies, clung to you like chains of shadow and flame. Somewhere, deep in the twisting alleyways, you heard a soft, guttural laughter. The laughter of a djinn who had lived for centuries, feeding on fear, guiding the lost into its hall of faces. And you, still trembling, knew it was waiting for the moment you would falter. The alley twisted further, walls closing in like the ribs of some enormous, slumbering beast. The faces in the stones groaned in unison, a low, sonorous chant vibrating in your chest. Al-Mait, 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 the dead, the dead, the dead. The djinn floated before you, its form now more terrifyingly fluid, limbs stretching into impossible shapes, wings of shadow sprouting from its back, and its amber eyes multiplying, reflecting your terror from every angle. "You have come far," it hissed, voice layered with fire and ice. "But the path demands more. To survive, to leave, you must offer a sacrifice, a piece of your soul, a fragment of your heart. Only then," it gestured, and the air itself congealed into a circle of black smoke, pulsating with the shape of an ancient Arabic sigil. Within the circle, ghostly figures writhed, bound by unseen chains, their cries blending with the whispering wind. "Ya Sahib al-Rush, pay what is due. O Master of the Soul, pay what is due." You understood the djinn's intention. To step inside the circle meant submitting yourself to the ancient contract of the unseen, soul for survival. And yet, stepping back meant becoming another face trapped within the walls, another whisper swallowed by the alley forever. The shadows thickened, pulling at your feet, crawling up your legs like living ink. You felt their cold touch against your skin, like hundreds of spectral fingers probing, testing. "Choose," the djinn demanded, its multitude of eyes boring into your mind. "Offer willingly, or be claimed unwillingly. The streets remember, the alley devours, the spirits mark those who hesitate." Your chest tightened, sweat and fear mingled as the faces on the walls pressed closer, lips moving, whispering, "Ya Sahib al-Rush, Ya Sahib al-Rush." A sudden gust of wind brought with it a single coherent phrase carved from centuries of dread. "To survive among mortals, you must first become less than mortal." The circle of smoke pulsed faster, the whispers intensified. You felt your mind fray at the edges, memories twisting into visions of the lost, the damned, the sacrificed. And then the djinn extended a hand, a claw of shadow and bone, directed at your chest. A voice from somewhere deep within you screamed, "Run!" But the alley had no exit. The shadows blocked every path, the faces pressed tighter, and the glyphs burned brighter, ready to consume all that you were. One choice remained: surrender to the ritual, or become the next face among the hall of the damned. And as you stepped toward the circle, the whispering grew into a chant so loud it shattered your soul. "Ya Sahib el-Layl, surrender or be claimed." The moment your foot crossed the threshold of the smoke circle, the alley ceased to feel like the world you knew. The ground beneath you dissolved into black mist, and the faces pressed against the stones now surged forward, wailing in a chorus of endless despair. Each whisper, each scream was a dagger to your mind. The jinn hovered above, its form fully revealed now, an amalgam of shadows, fire, and teeth, eyes glowing with the hunger of centuries. Its voice cracked like a storm across sand dunes. Every step you take, every fear you feel feeds the circle. Every heartbeat is a candle burning in the void. Are you ready to pay, mortal? The smoke encircled your body, twisting your limbs, burrowing into your chest, gnawing at your sanity. For a brief moment, you saw your own reflection in its shifting form, hollow eyes, pale skin, a soul stretched thin, tethered only by the last threads of willpower. Around you, the glyphs spiraled faster, forming a cage of fire and shadow. You realized the ritual was not just to survive, it was to remake you. Every choice you had made, every hesitation, every doubt, it all converged here, shaping you into something neither living nor dead. A hand of shadow shot from the jinn, wrapping around your chest, and you felt your heartbeat slow, then accelerate, then splinter. The voices of the lost penetrated your mind. Yad al-Jawari, become one with us, accept the path. Desperation clawed at your throat. You tried to resist, to flee, but the alley itself had become a living thing, pulling, consuming. And then, through the chaos, a single thought crystallized. Survival was no longer about life, it was about submission. With trembling resolve, you offered what it demanded, not a prayer, not a bargain, but the surrender of your fear, your will, your essence. The jinn's eyes flared, and the circle of glyphs erupted into blinding light. Pain, terror, and knowledge of the unseen flooded your mind at once. Then, silence. The alley fell still. The faces were gone. The smoke dissipated. You were alone, or so it seemed. Yet deep in your chest, you felt it. A shadow, faint but persistent, whispering in a language you now understood without words. The path begins, and it never ends. Outside, the city hummed with life. The alley appeared normal, mundane. But you knew the truth. The jinn had not released you. You had passed the ritual, but its mark was etched into your soul. And somewhere, in the spaces between worlds, the Hall of Faces waited, watching, remembering, and always hungry for the next soul who dared step into the consuming night. The city was safe. You were alive, but the shadows had followed, and they would never let you go. We end tonight's horrifying story right here. But remember, darkness reveals secrets daylight never can. Stay tuned for more terrifying encounters, if you dare to.